when you open up Excel, this is what it looks like. Hopefully you've used Word or something like that, and so I don't have to tell you how to open a new file or save the file and that kind of thing, right? So for that, in that regard, it's very similar to things that maybe you've had before. So I won't worry about that. Incidentally, there is a, I've got a couple of links that I will have Melissa post for you that have some tutorials. So I was looking for other ways that you could learn more about Excel, and I found two that looked pretty good to me. They were fairly elementary. This will be posted, so you can just click the link and go there. But there's probably 1,000 tutorials on Excel, right? These happen to be covering some decent stuff and not too advanced, so you might check those out. But what I'm going to try and do is show you some things here. Okay. So this is an application that I used recently. We were building equipment for single-engine aircraft, and what we had is we were building a pressure altimeter. You've been talking a little bit about pressure. Pressure when you go underwater, the pressure increases. When you go up in altitude, the pressure decreases because there's less air as you go up, right? So it's holding less air on top of it, so the pressure tends to go down as you go up in altitude. It's also because of the fact that air is compressible. It has a lot to do with the temperature and other things. Okay, but it's called pressure altimeter or pressure altitude. And what we were doing is we were using a GPS device that works on a different kind of technology. And we were trying to calibrate the pressure gauge, right? Now, what happens on the pressure gauge is you get a voltage. So when you read the thing, you get a voltage coming off of some terminals. That voltage is proportional to the pressure, and then the pressure is proportional to the altitude. Get the idea? Okay. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to see how accurate it was compared to the GPS device. All right. So what I have here are two columns, A and B. First one is the voltage that we got when we flew the aircraft. Second one was the GPS altitude that was being quoted to us by the GPS device. What I want you to do is to learn how to use Excel using some data like this. All right? So the first thing I want you to do is up at the top, we've got some words, and they're not real clear as to what's happening, right? What in the world is column B, for example, GPS altitude, and it just kind of quits on you. So one of the things that you would want to learn to do is to be able to format this stuff, right? So one of the first thing I'm going to show you is how to make all of those things look better. Now what you can do is you can extend the width of the cells so that they're wider and you can see the words. The other thing that you can do is come up here, let's see, if you go to Home and then wrap the text, let's see, well that didn't work. Ah, there we go, I guess it did. So all I did was I grabbed this thing and stretched the row down a little bit. So now you can read the things, correct? Okay. So you put a header up there so people know what the column means, right? And now what I want to do is I want to do some calculations. Now what I've seen students do, and you don't ever want to do this, is you can pull out your calculator and you can do, punch in the numbers, get the number, type the number in here. Don't do that. That's not what this is for. Okay, what this is supposed to do is do the calculations for you. Let me show you what I mean. Let's do these things over here, right? So I have H is K1000, whatever the heck that means, right? And the number is 990. The number B is 29.92. Everybody with me on that? That's given. So here we go. Pressure altitude is the number K1000 times parentheses B minus pressure. See that? So what I want to do is I want to go in there and calculate that number. Right? So you can pull out your calculators if you want to, and you can do it, but you don't want to. You want Excel to do it for you. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to set this, the active cell, so I just click on it. So there's the active cell right there. It's under the pressure, okay? And I want to implement this equation. So what I'm going to do is all equations in Excel start with an equal sign. So I say equal. What's going to go in here will equal the following thing. Where am I going to get K1000? Well, I could type in 990, right? I could do that. I could just go in here and go 990 times, and I can type it all in. You don't want to do that either, right? The reason is because if this number changes, K1000, if somebody changes their mind, say, you know what? It's Wednesday. Wednesday, K1000 is supposed to be 1010. Well, now you're going to have to change all of these calculations. You don't want to do that. So what I want to do is I want to use a reference to the number 990. Okay? So instead of typing the actual number in there, I'm going to say it's equal to, and I'm going to click the cell that I want. I want that cell right there. Right? So all I did was I clicked it, and now look at the formula. What does the formula say? It says it's equal to I1. So it's going to take the number that's in I1 and it's going to put it right there. Make sense? Now, how do I finish this formula? What do you think I should do? I1 times, that's K1000. I want to add I2, or what do I want to do? Right, times, so we'll say times. Yeah, it's a parentheses, right? Okay, where am I going to get the number B?
2.
I2, right? So I don't want to type in 29.9, right? Because if they change that, I'm going to have to go back in and change everything. So I'm just going to click over here if I can hold my hand steady. Okay, I2 minus pressure. Where am I going to find pressure?
C.
Okay, yep, I screwed this one up. B times pressure. Oh, okay, pressure out. Whoops. Okay, I made a mistake. Pressure altitude is this. Pressure is this. Oops. Let me back up. See how I made? Got to read the problem, right? I made up the problem. You think I would have got it? Okay. All right. It's Wednesday. Wednesdays are always bad. Equals. Okay, let's do pressure. What is the formula for pressure? It's 28 plus voltage over 10. Okay? And the 28 is, you know, it would have been great if they put it in a cell. They didn't. Okay, so it's 28 plus voltage. Where am I going to get voltage? Why do you say A2? Why not this one here? Yeah, you want this guy, right? Kind of makes sense. This guy ought to correspond to that guy, right? But you could, if you wanted to, say, hey, I'm going to pick 9.5. If that's really what you want, you can. But okay, so I'm going to get it from over here. And I think that's the whole thing. Oh, no, voltage divided by 10. Divide by 10. Did I get it right? Okay, thank goodness. Man, now hit enter. You can pull out your calculator and say, yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay. So there's 28. Okay? Now that I have that one, now let's do pressure altitude. Okay? So I'll go over here and I'll say, okay, what's the pressure altitude? How do I get that? That's the one I was doing before. So without too much talking, that's K1000 times, parentheses, B minus the pressure band. Close the parentheses. Enter. And you can check that if you want. You know, pull out your calculator. Yeah, that's right. How do I get error?
GPS altitude.
Bingo. So let's do that. So we'll come over here for error, and I'll say, okay, this is equal to. It is pressure altitude, parentheses, pressure altitude is this number, minus the GPS altitude, that number, close parentheses, divided by GPS altitude. That one. Fairly simple. Okay, real small number, 1.01%. If it doesn't show up the way you want it, what you can do is you can format it. So for example here, I'm going to take it off of the percent. Let's see. There. I'm just going to make it a general number. Okay. I don't want that. I want percent. I just undid what I wanted, right? How would you make it a percent?
The decimal.
Yeah, exactly. Well, all you have to do is click on here and say I want it displayed as a percentage, right? What is 0.0101? 1.01%, right? So let's see if it gives me the right number. So I'm going to come over here and say, okay, for that guy, I want you to be displayed. You see where I'm clicking? As a percent. How come it doesn't show the fractions? Well, maybe you want it to. So you can increase the decimal. Do it again. Do it again. As many as you want. Everybody okay with that? Okay. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to do it for all of them. Shall we just do it as a homework assignment? Type it all in? You want to type it all in? No, I want to copy it. That's the real power of this. You type the one formula in, make sure it's right, and then we'll just copy it. Is everybody okay with that? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the things I want to copy. Right? And you can find it under Edit and Copy. You can also hit Control-C for copy. Right? And then what I'll do is I'll say, where do you want to copy it to? So I'm just going to click here and drag down. Just dragging down to here, and I say Control-V for paste. Or you can hit Edit and select Paste. Right-click. Did it do it right? What do you think? Uh-oh. Made a mistake. I knew that was coming. I know, right? I know what you're thinking, but I did it on purpose. Okay, let's go back and see what the heck happened when I copied this thing. Well, here's what happened. See this formula right here? I'm going to hit F2 so that it highlights oops, that one's okay. These guys are okay. See what it's doing, right? It took, see how it highlights this A2? It highlights it over here. It shows you which one it's talking about. I'm taking that guy, right? So, for example, here's another one. And I'll hit F2. He's done what he's supposed to do, right? That was a good copy. Everybody agree with that? Yeah, I copied it properly. You see what it's doing? It says, oh, you copied it down to the row below? Hey, okay, then you want me to move everybody down one row. See how that does it? Because that's what it, I mean, that kind of makes sense. Do you always want to do that? No, you don't always want to, but most of the time that's what you do, right? You get the formula right in one row, and then you just copy it down. And so it says, hey, I know what you're doing. I'll do that for you. Well, what can you think of what happened then? What did I do wrong? That one was okay. That one came out all right. Why didn't this row come out? Why didn't this column right here come out right? It's doing the same thing, isn't it? Right? It's doing the same. When you copy down, it says, oh, okay, you want me to just, right? Well, let's go look and see what it did, right? So here we go. We'll go to this guy, the one that I did by hand, and I'll hit F2, right? It's using the right values, correct? Okay. Now let's see what happens when I copied it down to the next row, and we'll hit F2. Oops, darn it. And hit F2. What did it do? It moved down, right? That's what it's, oh, I know what you're doing. You're copying down. You're copying. Oh, okay, I'm supposed to increase these indexes for you. And that's what it's doing, right? So that's a very common mistake that you'll make when you get this. You'll be under 2 in the morning, you're in a rush to get this thing done. You'll copy it and turn it in. And you forgot that it's going to increase it. It's trying to help you, right? I don't want it to do that, okay? Here's how you can tell it not to do that. Okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to the original one, and I'm going to say, whoops, made a mistake. So I'm going to go back up to here, and I'm going to edit it. So F2. Okay? And what I don't want is I don't want that I2 to change. I want it to be I2 at all times, right? And the same thing with the I3. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, click right here at the I. In between the I and the 2, I'm going to put a $sign in there. Why a $sign? I have no idea. Is that all I want to change, or should I change something else? Should I change the C2? No, I1? Okay. What do I need to put in here? A $sign. I get the same number I had before. Yeah, right, because I haven't copied anything yet, right? What about this error term? Is he right? Do I have to modify him in any way? Is error always, as I copy down, is it going to be D2 minus B2 over B2? And then what's the next one should be when I copy it? Should be D3. Is that going to work? Yeah, so that one is probably okay, right? Okay, so let's go back up here. All right, then what do I want to do? I want to say, all right, tell you what, I want to copy these guys. I don't need to copy pressure. He was okay, right? So I'm going to hold Control C, and then I'm going to just highlight all these guys. Control V. Now, do you think it's right? Okay, I'm paranoid. I don't know about y'all. I'm always paranoid, right? I screw things up all the time, man. I know that. So here's what I would suggest you do. Let's randomly pick a cell, like this one right here. Okay? What should that number be? Okay, you pull out your calculator, right? Pull out your calculator. This is pressure altitude. Well, let's do the pressure beside it. Make sure this guy is correct. Whoops. That one right there, 28.8, whatever that is. Let's check and make sure that he's right. How would you check this? Use a calculator, right? You know what the number's supposed to be. It's supposed to be, let's see, pressure. Pressure is 28 plus the voltage divided by 10. So I'm going to pull out my calculator. I'm going to say 28 plus 8.5 divided by 10. So 28 plus about 0.8, 28.85. Is that the right answer? Have I checked completely? No, right? If you're still paranoid, check another one. Still paranoid? Check another one, right? Until you say, I'm not paranoid anymore. I know that I did this right. You hear what I'm saying, right? Because it was obvious that I made a mistake because it ended up with 0, 0. You knew that wasn't right. But sometimes you can make a mistake when you're copying them, and they kind of maybe look a little bit right. How do you check it? Well, if you're paranoid like me, you just randomly grab one and say, let me do it once with my calculator. Yeah, that's the right number. Okay, boom. They're probably all okay then. Yeah. I don't know. It's 28 plus 8.5 divided by, you're probably taking parentheses, 28 plus 8.5, and then divide that by 10. I bet that's what you're doing. But you're putting a parenthesis around here. You're adding those, saying equal, and then divide by 10. I bet that's what you're doing. Because 28 plus 8 is about 36. Divided by 10 is 3.6. There's no parenthesis. Voltage over 10 plus 28.
So you would divide the voltage by 2?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I made this up, right? Okay, so I made this up. But this is the kind of calculation that we were making after we flew the plane. We landed and took down the data, put it into Excel, and did this. Okay. You have a question?
So you actually did this?
Yeah, let me pause this, because let's see. All right, so you want error on Y. So I'm going to select that. And I want GPS altitude on the So I'm going to hold down Shift. Oops. Maybe I'm not. Whoa, 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 stop. Okay, I'm going to hold down Control. Okay, so I've got my two columns that I want to plot. Now, if you go to Insert, here's a graph. One of the things that you have to be careful of is there's two things that look like, you know what graphs are, right? Okay. Yeah, okay. There's two things that look very similar. One is this guy right here. It's called a line plot. See, I'm just hovering over it. A line plot. Usually in engineering, you don't want line plots. What a line plot will do is it'll say this is on the y-axis, and the x is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? It'll just number them. And it'll put this on the y-axis as well with a 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Usually you don't want that. If that's what you want, then that's what you want to select as a line plot. Usually for most engineering applications, it's a scatter plot. The reason it's called a scatter plot is because the data comes in kind of random order. So if you think about how this, if this was real data, how would we have collected it? Well, we're not going to fly the airplane in a very steady upward climb. That's not the way you typically fly. Well, actually, we're coming down here. But normally, you just fly and you collect data. Sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low, and the numbers are not in sequence. You can put them in sequence. You can order them if that's what you want to do. But normally, they just come in whatever order they are. So they're all scattered all over the place. And so it's called, Excel calls it a scatter plot. So what I want to do is select the scatter plot right here. Okay, so I'm going to hover over it. So it's a scatter plot, right? So I click that. And which one do you want? Well, I think I like the guy with lines and dots. Okay, boom. All right, so I've done a plot. What else do you want? You want to do what? Plot GPS altitude and pressure on Y versus voltage on it. Now I want two Y values and one X. What do you think I want to do? Let's do the same thing. Let's do plot GPS altitude and pressure. Okay, so there's GPS altitude. Now I'm going to hit Control and I'm going to select the pressure. Let me just select everything. Start over. Okay. GPS altitude. And I also want the pressure. So I hold Control and I select this guy. Whoa, 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 whoa! Okay, versus what? What do I want on the horizontal? On the X. Voltage. Okay, so I'm going to hold the Control and I'm going to select the voltage. Oh, stop it. Okay, what do you think I want to do now? What did I do last time? I did Insert. What kind of plot? Scatter. How about we put some dots on there so we know where the data is? So far, so good, right? Yeah. Suppose, for some reason, it doesn't like what your X and Y came out backwards or something. Then if you select this guy and you go under the chart selected, go under Chart Tools, Design. Here's something here for Select Data. Right? And so you can go in here and edit it and say, no, for the horizontal, I want this. And you can add, you can delete, etc. Okay? So if you get a plot that's not the way you want, you can get in there and you can edit the data. This plot, I think, is what I wanted. Okay, if you turn that into me, what do you think I'm going to say? And why? I'm going to pause this because I'm not. So what we do, I believe, is you select the axis that you want, or the data you want. I want the yellow guy. And I'm going to go to, I believe, Format. And under Format, I'm going to take the series pressure, I think is how you do it, and you want a vertical axis. Oops, nope, that's not it. Let's see. I want the pressure, and where do I put it? I'm going to pause this. Let me get out of this now that I know what to do. Okay, for the recording, I want to set this on second axis. So I'm selecting. I just clicked on him. I go to Format, and I said Format the selection, which is the value. It pops up. Do you want him on the primary, the one on the left, or you want a secondary? I want him on the secondary. And then we'll close this. There we go. Okay, I'll pause it now.